If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio. Bulk young guys, I think anybody who just, consistently goes for runs or does sports or whatever, does 90 minutes playing a football match or 80-minute rugby match or something like that, and they're doing cardio, you get to like 35 years old and you're still kind of skinny. You just don't look too good. You haven't made that boy to man transition. And if you're going to try and bulk now, I just think it's not too late, but it's going to be a lot harder. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be going down more of the fitness route, and I'm going to tell you guys why it's so important to bulk when you're young. Just so important, okay? Now, there's a lot of guys that will get to maybe 29, 30 years old, and their whole life they've just ran. They've just done long distance running. They might get into their mid-30s, whatever, and they're lean, they have a marathon runner's physique and stuff, and they're still trying to figure life out. They still don't understand why things aren't coming together. They don't get respect off other men. They're not getting as many women as they would have hoped for at this age, Chris, you lied about the male advantage. You're a prick. Well, a lot of it comes from, going through a bulk at a certain point. And I think that bulk is a transition from a boy to a man, and it has to be done young. And I'm going to go through a few reasons now as to why that has to be done young. Now, number one is because you have high testosterone and you have way more growth hormones when you're young than you do when you're older. They start to decline, okay, as you get older. Now, these two elements alone, growth hormones and testosterone, will allow you, they're the catalyst for gaining muscle. They're also a catalyst for cutting fat later on down the line, but that's something we'll get to. But without these two components in place, yeah, you can get in shape, but it makes it a lot more difficult. There's a reason you can't just get a 65-year-old guy off the street and make him look like a 25-year-old fitness model. The body just doesn't respond in the same way. It doesn't recover. It doesn't build muscle at the same rate. It's just not there like it used to be. That testosterone's not as high. It's just not, you don't have that same drive when you're in the gym. The strength is depleting. It's completely different, okay? So when you're young and you have these two components, it's so important to get that bulk in early. Because I believe that, and we'll get to this later as well, the average man needs to go through about 3 bulks and 3 cuts, or just one long, real slow bulk, which is possible, but, I think it's quite fun actually whacking on a ton of weight, getting really strong, and then having to cut it. I just think it's quite fun to do. Now the second thing is, like I said, it's easier to cut. It's a lot easier to cut when you're younger. Now as you get older, any man will tell you who's over the age of 35, the body fat that they didn't used to be a lot easier to cut off. So they had a holiday coming up, they'd go for 5 runs and they'd have a 6-pack. Whereas now they go for 5 runs and they even gain weight because they had 1 glass of wine and a bit of cheese. It just gets a lot harder as you get older. So in order to go through a bulk, if you're going to do it at 38 years old and think, okay, I'm going to bulk, you might be looking at 2 years, 3 years to get that weight off. Now you shouldn't. There should be a better way of doing it. But for a lot of guys, they're going to struggle to cut that body fat. Now, if you're doing it young, it's going to be effortless. So you can go through those 3 bulks and those 3 cuts. You can knock them out one by one. And you also have the time to do it, which is fantastic. Okay, which brings us on to our next point, which is don't miss the male advantage. You have a limited window. Like I told you guys before, the male advantage is about 30 to 50, but in terms of physical prime, you can stay in shape till 50, as many people in Hollywood have proven. I think there's some steroids involved, TRT especially, which once your testosterone starts to drop as you get older, isn't the worst thing in the world if you can afford it. So I don't frown on it too much. TRT isn't really a steroid, they don't really have the same effect, okay? It's a very dampened version of it. But you do have this limited window of the male advantage where you've got, let's say, for example, wealth, youth, and attraction. So you look good at the same time. So you've got all of them in one group. Well, there is a limited window. It's roughly around about 28 years old to 44, 45, where a man starts to dip. So in order to hit that stride, you don't want to be bulking within that gap. You want to You want to have gone through like 1 or 2 bulks already before you even hit like 27, 28. Now, if you haven't, it's not a problem. You know, it's only going to take you like a year to bulk and cut again. But you want to squeeze these in before 30 if you can. That's why it's so important to bulk young. Now, the next one, like I said, is multiple cycles. You're not going to have to do this once. You're going to have to do this 3 times. This could be a 5-year journey. This could be a 5-year journey. So if you started at 25, by the time you hit 30, you're in the perfect shape that you want to be in. That's unbelievable. Whereas if you are, let's say, 36, by the time you finish, you might end up being something like 43. You know, that's a little bit more difficult to justify. Now you're thinking to yourself, will I ever lose that weight? It's a huge commitment at a time in my life when I want to be enjoying myself. I've got kids and a missus. Do I have time to do this now? It's very, very hard to do. And the final one, as I said at the start, is a boy to man transition. And I'll touch on this a little bit more now. So there's just something that happens when you bulk up, when you just build that more masculine frame and your face takes shape and you just have padding in the correct areas, if that makes sense. You know, I'm talking about once you've cut all the body fat and how good you will look after a bulk. You know, if you gain 5 kg, 6 kg of lean muscle in the space of, let's say, a year's cycle, well, then you're going to look significantly different. Now, on your next one, you might gain 3 to 4 kg. On your next one, you might gain 1 to 2, whatever, like 2 kg of lean muscle. But in total, you're looking at around about 10 kg of added muscle to your frame. You're going to look worldly different. Worldly different. Now, my natural body weight is around 80 kg if I just do nothing. I bulked up to 98 kg this winter. I'm now cutting. I'm down to around about 89 kg. By the time it's all said and done, I think I'm going to be about 85, 86. So I would have gained 5 or 6 kg of lean muscle. And I look significantly better. Now, I'm going to do another bulk and another cut for next year. Come September, I'll do it all again. Get round to this point again. But this time I'll be starting from a lower body fat percentage, so I'll be able to cut it a lot quicker. And my testosterone will be high because I'll be within that 8 to 16 body fat percentage range, which, you know, once you go over 16, you start producing mass estrogen. So it would be a lot easier to do. But by the time I'm done on my 3rd or 4th bulk, whatever, I think it would be 3 that I'll do, because on the 4th you only gain like 1 kg of lean muscle. I don't think it's really worth it for the commitment. I think you could probably gain that naturally over a long period of time in your life from just consistently lifting. But I'm probably going to be sat at around about 90 kg and lean. So I want to be 90 kg, 9% body fat, because I've been at 9% body fat before when I used to play professional football, semi-professional football. So I know I can get there quite easily. I know exactly what it takes. Combine those 2 elements together. 9% body fat and 90 kg is enormous. You know, 90 kg in fat, not that big. 90 kg in lean is enormous. That's a huge guy. I'll be delighted when I'm at that point. And the final bulk of my life might be 29, 30 years. 29 going into 30. It might be my final ever one. You know, I'm 28 now. I'm just finished one whole cycle. About to finish my cut. I've got about 4 to 5% body fat to lose. My next bulk, you know, will take me up to about 29 years old. And then the one after that, if I choose to do it, you know, obviously I'll be 30. I'll be perfectly positioned. Body tick. Obviously working on the business tick. You know, you're going to look significantly better. Appearance tick. You're going into your male advantage set up perfectly. And muscle mass and bone mass peak at 30. You know, so it all ties together perfectly. Like, you've just locked it all in. Now, I wish I'd started lifting heavy a lot younger, you know, and I'd really gone for it when I was younger, but I didn't, okay? It is what it is, but I'm still within that range, and that's why I encourage you guys. I would say from 16 to 21, focus on form. Like, just learn good form, learn different exercises, learn to get good at just a range of movements, you know, learn calorie intake, stuff like that. Just study the game as much as you can. And then from 21 to 25, you go through 3 bulks and 3 cuts. And then at 25, obviously, you're in a position where you're not going to gain too much more, and it's maintenance. So then you can really focus on other shit like success. Because you're going to be older, more mature, have more money. You can tie it all together then. That's probably the perfect scenario. You know, if you want to gain again, you're probably looking at TRT or growth hormones at that point, which, like I said, I don't recommend, especially not at 25, whatever. But you know, when you get older, if you're testing your bloods and you've got a professional working with you because you've got enough money to monitor it, it's not too big of a risk if you're just using TRT. Okay, but that's why I think you should bulk young guys. I think anybody who just, you know, consistently goes for runs or does sports or whatever, does 90 minutes playing a football match or 80-minute rugby match or something like that, and they're doing cardio, you get to like 35 years old and you're still kind of skinny. You just don't look too good. You haven't made that boy to man transition. And if you're going to try and bulk now, I just think it's not too late, but it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be harder to lose it. Time's running out. You're going to miss that limited window. You're currently in the male advantage and you kind of missed it. You know, I just think get those bulks in early, tick those boxes. You know, on average, we get about 4. We get 4 where we get gains, okay? Like I said, the first bulk might be like 10 kg of muscle that you've gained. The next one might be 6. This is lean. The next one might be 3. The final one might be 1 kg. 5th year is very, very hard. You know, it doesn't go linear, okay? You make huge gains, and then eventually 4th year you hit your genetic potential. It's very hard to gain above that. Well, you just need like a 4 or 5 year period where you're bulking and cutting, 3-4 times. I think 3's just about right. I don't think it's worth doing the 4th one for 1 kg for everything that you've got to go through, looking like shit for 6 months. I'm not sure it's really worth it, damaging your health and whatever. You pick up a few injuries when you're bulking. It's just the nature of the game. I think 3 is a perfect amount. But you do need, 3, 4, 5 years to dedicate to that. And then once that box is ticked, like I said, you can maintain and focus on other shit. Makes your life a lot easier. But if you don't do it young, it just gets a lot harder to do. And a lot of guys always say, I don't want to get too big. You know, when you're young, having big muscles, it doesn't really play into your hands. You know, you want to be quick and lean and like kind of agile, you know, with a 6-pack. That's what a lot of guys want. But when you get older, you'll really thank yourself that you built that male frame. You went from a boy to a man. It makes the world of difference, I tell you. If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio.